Welcome to the Academic Success Crash Course series, presented by the Office of Academic Skills at Washington College. Today's video is about how to make a study plan. All of the techniques used in this video can be applied to papers, assignments, and readings, as well as exams. To begin, let's look at the importance of creating a study plan, and why students who cram the night before the exam are only hindering their chances of success. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. By not making a study plan when you have the option to, you're giving up the chance to be better prepared for an exam. Not only does creating a plan help increase your chances of a higher score, but it also makes studying more efficient. When you have a plan that tells you what to do and when to do it, it saves you time and reduces procrastination. Over time, it will also allow you to learn from your study habits. You might find that some methods of studying work well for you, and that other methods aren't as helpful. For the next test, you can focus on the methods that help you learn best. A bonus of planning ahead is that being prepared reduces stress. When you cram the night before, you're unsure if you'll get through all the material, get enough sleep, or feel confident in your knowledge. When you plan ahead, you should feel more relaxed the night before and can get a full night's sleep. This is important because sleep deprivation and too much anxiety can impact the way you focus and learn. If all of this sounds great, but you're unsure how to make a study plan or keep yourself accountable, we'll discuss both of these issues before the end of the video. The very first step to make a study plan is to break it all down. By breaking studying into smaller tasks over a duration of time, studying for an exam can seem less daunting. There are many ways you can break up studying, and these ways will depend on what works best for you and on the format of the exam. Some examples may include dividing readings up by chapter, making flashcards, rewriting notes, or making a practice exam. For more studying methods, you can make an appointment with an academic skills tutor. This brings us to the next point. You can also include outside resources as part of your smaller tasks. These can include peer tutoring appointments, going to the writing center, and talking to your professor. By making these appointments, you'll be forced to start studying ahead of time instead of waiting till last minute. Now that you have a list of tasks that need to get done, you'll need to figure out when you'll perform each task. To do this, consider the number of days before the exam date. Then, count the number of tasks you broke your project into. By comparing the two numbers, you'll have a rough estimate of how much you need to do each day. For example, if I have 4 days before my exam and 8 smaller tasks to complete, then I should complete 2 tasks each day. This is just a rough rule and can change when you account for other variables. Once you know about how much you need to get done per day, assign specific tasks to each day. This is where you get to be flexible in your schedule. If you have more days than tasks, then that's great. You can just do a task each day and have a couple of days off before the deadline. Or if you know you have a test for another class during that time period, then maybe leave the day before that exam as empty. If you have more small tasks than days left, that's also fine. You can just pair up small tasks on certain days. For example, I could pair up creating citations and editing my essay. Now you have a rough idea of what tasks to do each day, but there are still some other things you may want to think about when making your schedule. First, if possible, leave extra time before deadlines. This way, if something comes up and puts you a day behind, you still have time to complete it. This is also helpful if you get stuck with a topic and need to talk to your professor or see a tutor. Also make sure to leave time for yourself. This is really important. If you don't want to do a lot on Friday nights because that's when you get to hang out with your friends, then plan around that. If you're all work and no play, you can feel burned out fast and lose motivation. This in turn can result in lower grades. Lastly, be realistic. If you know that on Tuesdays you only have 2 hours to do schoolwork, then don't make your to-do list really long for that day. When you make your to-do list longer than you can get done in your allotted time period, it's easy to get frustrated with yourself and give up. By now, you should have a completed idea of what your study plan looks like. Make sure that you write it down in your calendar, agenda, or whatever else you use to keep track of your schedule. Then, set reminders on your phone, computer, or have your friends remind you so you can stick to it. Here's an example of a study schedule a student made. They included the day of the week, what assignments they should be completing, and how long they have to complete them. This student broke up their tasks by preparing, reviewing, and testing themselves in smaller chunks. This is another example that's pretty similar. Instead of the day of the week, it's broken up into the number of days before the deadline. Each day has specific tasks listed, and at the bottom, the student wrote the times when they'd be working on the tasks. So, for example, on day 2, the student will be reviewing course material and lecture notes, and creating a summary note from 8 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. Again, these are just suggestions, and your schedule can be whatever works well for you. To summarize, planning ahead can only increase your chances of success. You might have done okay on the exam by cramming the night before, but you may have done even better if you started preparing earlier. You also want to break down tasks to make studying more manageable. Fit these tasks into your schedule, but be flexible. You have other things going on in your life, so you might not have as much time on some days as you do on others. Remember, these tips can be used for more than just studying for an exam. You can apply this information to papers, assignments, readings, and any other large tasks you may have. If you would like to go into more detail, please visit the Office of Academic Skills webpage and make an appointment with an academic skills tutor.